In this demo, we're going to register ourselves as a coach for an organization in Dive 365. Now, coach is just like any other member in Dive 365, except that they're assigned coach-specific registration categories. And this means that when a coach registers, they need to fill out coach-specific forms, sign coach-specific agreements, and pay for their coach registration across the relevant governing bodies. Once they do, they have access to various coach-specific features. So let's get started. Now, I've navigated to the Dive 365 store for a specific organization. In this case, the organization is named D365 Club. Generally, your organization will give you a link, but you can always just navigate to the store, find your club, and find yourself on this page. Now, at the top of the organization-specific page, you'll see a set of filter buttons, and one of them is called Registration Categories. So let's make sure that button is selected. And this will show you all the registration categories that your organization has. Now we just need to find the relevant category to register for. But be very careful. Some organizations will show categories for multiple seasons at once, and we can see that this organization is showing one for 2025-26 and another set for 26-27. Basically, this allows you to register for this season or early for next season. So make sure to pick the category under the right season. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Learn to Dive Coach. Now, some organizations will offer different levels of coaching, so make sure to follow their instructions and pick the correct category. So I've selected Learn to Dive Coach instead of Competitive Coach. Now, in this pop-up, you'll see details about the category. This includes how much of your payment will go to each organization. But if you see pending at the bottom of the screen, then that means that the various governing bodies haven't enabled this season yet. Now, you can still see the categories, so you know what's coming, but you can't register yet. In fact, if I close this Learn to Dive Coach, you'll see a bunch of TBAs at the bottom for 26-27. And if I open up that Learn to Dive, we'll see that pending chip. That means that this organization has not had its season turned on yet. So I'll go to this season's Learn to Dive Coach. And now what I can do is I can register myself. So I'm going to select myself from the list of members, and then click Add to Cart at the bottom of the pop-out. Awesome. So now that I've selected that category, now I can start the checkout process. So let's click Checkout at the top of the screen. Great. So now I can see all the categories listed on the screen. If I've made a mistake, I can remove the category, but otherwise, I'm all good. Now note that the categories can't be discounted. So even if you have a discount code, it can't apply here. Now we can scroll down to the bottom of the screen, and we can click on Next. Perfect. So now we're being asked to fill out our contact information. So let me do that. Good. Now I need to give some emergency contacts for each member in the purchase, which is just me. So let's go ahead and do that. We can click the Add button next to Emergency Contacts. This will pop out the Emergency Contact pop-up, and then we can provide a name. So we can say something like Bob, Builder, and we provide their phone number, and whatever their relationship might be. Then we can click Save, and we can add as many emergency contacts as we want, as well as edit the ones that we have or remove them entirely. Emergency contacts are often required, but it is up to your organization as to whether or not they are. Next, your organization and governing bodies will have forms that you need to fill out. Some are optional and some are required. Each required form will show as a warning, and we can see that I have one that is a warning. So you'll need to select each of the forms that are listed in order to proceed. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Complete Form. And this form is going to ask me whatever questions are necessary for that specific form. So in this case, it's a very simple example form. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, the sky is blue. We'll click Save and Continue. And this will satisfy the form. So we now see a green checkbox, and everything is good on this page. So now that all the forms are filled out, now I can move on to the next screen by clicking Next at the bottom. Good. So now I'm seeing all the agreements that I need to agree to. And just like the forms, any agreements that I haven't signed yet this season will be displayed with a warning. So I'll need to open each one and sign it. So I'll go ahead and click the View and Agree, and this will show the agreement. Then we can go through that whole agreement, make sure that we're happy with it. If there's a signature required, we're going to have to type our name exactly as it's shown. So in my case, it'd be dive-365, admin. And then I can say I agree, and then I can click Agree and Continue at the bottom of the screen. And great. Now that all the agreements are signed, I can now proceed to payment by clicking Next at the bottom of the screen. And at this point, you can pay for the coach category, and the funds will automatically be sent to your organization and governing bodies. If you've negotiated reimbursement from your club, you'll receive a receipt that you can then submit to them. Then, at that point, since you're registered as a coach, you will now have access to various Dive 365 features. This includes the Coach app, which you can download for your mobile device, and other apps that we'll create in the future. So there you have it. In this demo, we registered ourselves as a coach in our organization.